Hi, my name is Rama. Today we're talking about the development of psychic powers. I think that everybody's really psychic. It's a gift that everyone has. Most people don't trust that gift, or perhaps they haven't developed it. But we're all born being psychic. What is it to be psychic? What are psychic powers? How can you develop them? Are they good things? Can they help you in life? Are they dangerous? Is the psychic world just imagination? Is it just an excuse to get away from the material world? Or is there something relevant and real there that can benefit you in your life? Today I'd like to talk to you about some different sides of the psychic planes. Now, what are the psychic planes? What is it to be psychic? Well, to be psychic means simply to be aware. I would say it's that simple. And awareness is the most fascinating thing. Awareness is our mind and our body and how it perceives the universe around us. So for most people, awareness is sensorial. That is to say, we see things with our eyes, hear things with our ears, we taste, smell, a variety of sensational experiences, touching, are with us all the time. We interpret and interpolate our world, the experiences we go through every day and night, through our senses. They're filtered by our mind, which kind of puts them together, puts the images together, and then our inner self perceives the world around us. Now, there are other factors. We have emotions and feelings, which don't necessarily come from outside of us. It's something that's inside of us, and we feel that with a feeling part of ourself. So we have emotions, we have sense perception, and we have thought. Thinking about things, imagining things, wondering, questioning, just talking in our mind. So that's an individual's perception. The senses, the feelings, the emotions, love, hate, sadness, ecstasy, thoughts, happy thoughts, sad thoughts, and then there are other levels of perception. To be psychic means to, of course, have all the normal levels of perception and cognition that everyone else does. But it means to have another way to perceive and put together the universe, the data of the universe. And this is a facility we all have. You know, some people say that they're psychic, but everybody really is. Some people are just aware of their psychic capacities, or they've developed them. The psychic world is an interdimensional world. By that I mean that there's the Earth, the stars, the planets, the nebula, the physical and material side of existence. But in addition to all of the physical worlds, there are other dimensions, millions of them. Dimensions of power, dimensions of ecstasy, dimensions that are indescribable. I mean, there's simply no words in language to talk about them. You experience the other dimensions not with your physical senses, not with your thoughts, not with your emotions, but with another part of your body, which I call the second attention. Some people call it the psychic body. The second attention is a very ancient part of us. It's a part of us that lives forever. You could call it the soul if you want to. It's the part that lives from one lifetime to another. The second attention is capable of incredible things. One of the simplest things the second attention does, of course, is to pick up the thoughts and feelings of the people around us. Try an experiment. Listen to your mind sometime when you're just sitting by yourself, or if you're just walking around and you're out in the world. Listen to your mind, and you'll hear yourself chattering away, thinking lots of thoughts, feeling lots of emotions. Then take a walk in a very quiet area, on a windy beach when no one's there, up in a mountain path, or in a park. Go to a place where people don't always walk, because actually people leave vibrations from places that they pass through. We'll talk about that in a minute. When you're out walking, notice your mind after a few minutes, and you'll notice the most interesting thing. You don't think as much when you're out in nature. Your mind becomes more quiet than when you're around people or in a city. The reason isn't simply stimulation. It's because we pick up, without knowing it, the thoughts of others. the emotions of others, the ideas of others. We're all psychic. Every human being has an aura. An aura is a non-physical body, a body of energy that surrounds our physical body. The aura is sensitive to energy, to impressions, thoughts, and feelings. You see, everything is alive in the universe. There isn't anything that isn't alive. Everything is made of energy, and energy vibrates and pulses. You know about radio waves, of course, and television signals, and now cellular phone signals. There are radio waves and radio frequencies, bands, that when we transmit through the electronic medium can be received and picked up by your TV set, your cellular phone, your radio, whatever. There are etheric planes, other dimensions, and they're all around us. Most people just don't see them, but they're always there. And our aura, our etheric body, what some people call the astral body, is always transmitting, just like a radio station, its feelings, our thoughts, our emotions, our ideas, our happiness, our unhappiness. All of those things are constantly being transmitted into what we call the astral planes, or the etheric planes. Same name, I mean, same purpose for the name. So, constantly, each human being is emitting a vibration, and we all feel each other's energies. Now, we feel it with our aura. Just as we have senses that perceive the physical world, we have an aura that perceives the non-physical worlds. So when you're in a city, when you're around people, whether you're aware of it or not, you're constantly feeling their energies against your subtle physical body. And just as your senses are constantly taking in information, so your aura is constantly taking in information. Now, at this point you may say, well, that's great, Rama, but why don't I feel all that? Why am I not aware of that? If that's all true, if there are all these other dimensions and planes of existence and everyone has an aura and all this information is around, why don't I know that? You do. Haven't you ever had someone walking behind you and you couldn't hear them physically, but someone was staring at you and suddenly you just turned around? Haven't you ever felt when someone walks in a room and you can feel whether they're happy or sad? When someone's mad at you, I mean, when they're violently angry, haven't you ever felt that just kind of hit your body? Well, it's hitting your subtle body. It's hitting what we call the astral body. The emotions and emanations of others are projected from them to us. So we are constantly being bombarded, particularly in a city environment, by thousands and millions of energies of all the people around us. And when you go out into nature, when you get away from people, you'll notice your mind slows down. You don't think as much. And that's because a lot of those thoughts aren't even your own. I would venture to say that for the average person, at least half the thoughts you think during the day and emotions you feel aren't yours. You're constantly picking up other people's thoughts and ideas through the astral. And that can be a real problem because if you don't know it, you begin to think that these thoughts, ideas, desires, angers are yours when they're not. So really, the first thing that you learn in psychic development is how to clear your mind. If you clear your mind, that is to say, clear your aura from the impressions that are constantly bombarding it or that build up on it, then you can sense clearly what are your thoughts, your feelings, and your ideas, and what are someone else's. To be psychic is a very interesting thing. Now remember, you're psychic whether you know it or not. I'm going to teach you later on how to develop and refine your psychic powers. But it's a given that we're all psychic. Some of us have learned to pay attention to it, others discount it. Sometimes you get a feeling, a knowing, where you just know something's about to happen. You're driving on the freeway and suddenly you get a feeling you should change lanes. And lo and behold, there was a car accident there. Suddenly we're walking down an alley and we get a feeling we shouldn't go down there. We can sense danger. Something's waiting for us down there. In the same sense, psychic feelings can show us opportunities. When you learn to develop your awareness, which is done by making your physical mind very, very quiet, when you develop your psychic awareness, you are able to perceive opportunities. Suddenly, let's say you're going for a job, and there are 20 different places you can go. You can feel the 2 or 3 that'll work for you, and you can not waste a lot of time and go there. Psychic communication is really fun. It's exciting. You can feel what other people think. You can know what they think about you. You can feel what country you should live in, what kind of occupation you should have. You can know what to do with your life, how to blend and flow with the rhythms of life. I know that some people think this is silly and it's spaced out, but it's not. Psychic perception is real, and you can highly develop your psychic abilities. All you need to know, really though, is that there are countless planes, dimensions. They stretch on forever, not in the physical world, but beyond it. And that you have a second body, a body of energy, that is capable of going into those dimensions, going through them, experiencing them, and learning all kinds of wonderful things about life, just as your physical body can travel to different countries. And on your journeys, on your psychic journeys, you can encounter different beings, you can meet different people, you can communicate through telepathy. That's the primary medium of communication in the psychic world. Just as we speak here, I'm talking to you with my voice, and we're having a conversation, maybe one way at the moment. But at the same time, we can speak through telepathy. Telepathy doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to think a thought and you're going to go over there and say, oh, I know his thought. Telepathy really means the projection of our feelings and images, the images of our life and our mind. If telepathy only just conveyed your thoughts, well, you can just talk to somebody on a cellular phone and do that. Telepathy is much faster and much more complete. When you develop your telepathic gifts, you are able to completely communicate with a person. You can just go into their mind and know all about them and what their true feelings are. And you can do the same if you want to with someone else. You can let them into your mind. That is to say, it's a very fast, very complete way to communicate. Words cannot express that much. Telepathy is complete understanding. There are some things you should know, though, about the psychic planes and some problems you can have with psychic facilities. And as I said, we'll get to that in a minute. But what I would like you to do, first of all, is to think about the possibility of being able to perceive in hundreds and millions of ways. I would like you to imagine that you can feel what's taking place in Africa. You can feel what's taking place in Germany. You can feel what's taking place inside the mind of someone you love. Someone you love is at work, you're in another place and you can't be together. But when you develop your telepathic abilities, you can be with a person all of the time. The physical is just a surface. Beyond that surface, there are endless dimensions, endless forms of light. And when you want to be with somebody you love, it's not necessary to be together physically. You can communicate perfectly happily and even more completely telepathically, or you can put the two together. So beyond this world, there are thousands and thousands of worlds, dimensions. And all of them aren't good for us, just the same way there are places that you don't want to go. There's sections of town where you could go and get mugged, and they're wonderful places to go. So there are dimensions that are very positive and very progressive. They're filled with light and happiness. They're dimensions, like neighborhoods, that should be avoided, where we have to be careful. It's not really that different outside of the body than in this world. And it's pretty easy to tell whether you're in a good neighborhood or a bad neighborhood. When you learn to start to travel outside of the body, which we'll talk about in a minute, I'll show you how, the best perception is your feeling of happiness or unhappiness. When you are perceiving something psychically, if it just doesn't feel good, if you're just not smiling, if you're just not happy, trust that feeling, and that's not where you should be. On the other hand, when you're in a good dimension, you're having a positive journey outside of the body, at that point you will always feel good, and you'll come away from that journey feeling good. You can look in the mirror, and you look bright, you look happy. If you don't look that way, then you've entered a place that doesn't work for you. Might work for someone else, but the vibratory level of that dimension or that world doesn't work for you. just as there one neighborhood that might work for one person and another neighborhood might work for another person. So the psychic world is here. It's available to you now. And your journey into it is going to expand you incredibly as a human being. You're going to perceive things, be able to do things, change things, make yourself happy, make others happy, avoid danger, find opportunity. And you can do other things too, of course. I mean, I'm just talking about the simple psychic powers. We'll get to that in just a moment. Being psychic is great. When you're psychic, you can know what other people think, you can know about opportunities, you can just know where to go and where to be. You also learn what to avoid. You can explore different dimensions in the universe and gain insights about creation, life, death, reincarnation. You can come to know your eternal side. You can be very, very effective with other people. Very often, you can get really close to someone because you love, because you can feel inside them. You can see what difficulty they're having and help them out of it. It's a wonderful thing to be psychic. The reason more people are not aware of their psychic side is because their mind is always thinking, their emotions are turbulent, they're stressed out, and they have just too many desires. Now, there's a phenomenon called white noise. If I take a lot of different sounds, a lot of people talking, maybe hundreds, and have them all talk at once, you can't hear anybody. You just hear kind of a white noise. And that's why more people aren't aware of their psychic side. Their thoughts are thinking, lots of emotions are going through them, they're picking up impressions, and you have to be very quiet in order to be psychic. There are 7 mystical gateways inside you. These are gateways to other dimensions and other worlds. We call them the chakras. To develop your psychic facilities, you simply have to learn to concentrate and meditate on your chakras. There's 7 of them. The first is at the base of the spine, all the way down. The second is about 5 inches up, halfway between the navel center, your navel, and the base of your spine. There's another chakra about 1 inch below your navel. There's a chakra in the center of the chest, right around the heart area, but right in the center. There's a chakra in the throat. There's a chakra between the eyebrows and a little bit above that we call the third eye. And there's a chakra at the top of the head that we call the 1,000-petal lotus of light. Each of the chakras are gateways to different dimensions. When you focus on each one, you'll go on different journeys into different realms. And focusing on any of them will develop your psychic facilities. So the key to being psychic is to be able to listen. You know, there aren't many good listeners, and a lot of people talk a lot. I should know I talk a lot. But when you learn to listen, you can learn a lot. If you're always talking, you don't learn anything. So if you'd like to learn from the universe itself, if you want to learn from the psychic and etheric planes, the key is to not think so much for certain periods of time. When you slow your thoughts down and you concentrate on a chakra, your mind will become very quiet. Then you will go into another dimension, an astral realm. And as I said, there's 7 major gateways within us to 7 different realms. We call them the 7 psychic worlds. All you have to do to develop your psychic powers is to pick a quiet time once or twice a day. Be by yourself. Sit in your room, sit in the living room, in a chair, on the floor, whatever you like. Just sit very quietly for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Close your eyes and focus on one of the 7 chakras. Try different ones at different times, and you'll see that you will begin to feel in other dimensions. Now, at first, you won't necessarily feel a lot. Like with anything, we just begin or we just start out. Don't expect great results the first day. At least wait till the second day. If you focus on the base of the spine, and you can just put your finger there and apply a little bit of pressure the first few times you do it to kind of feel the spot. This is a realm of power. There are 3 realms of power. And the base of the spine, the chakra there, the chakra halfway between the base of the spine and the navel, just about halfway, and the navel chakra, which is just a little bit below the navel, lead you to the 3 planes of power. There are 3 different dimensions, and they're very different. Focusing on each one will give you a very different experience. It'll lead you literally into a different dimension. These are powerful dimensions, and you will also develop a tremendous amount of power from focusing on them that will enable you to do things with your etheric body that other people can't do. The chest center and the throat center, the chakras, are realms of bright light and happiness. These are dimensions, or dimensional access points as we call them, that lead you into worlds of wonder, worlds of happiness, worlds of brightness. When you focus on these chakras, very often you'll see thousands of colored lights. You'll travel through dimensions of light, feeling, and happy awareness. The third eye is the occult chakra. It's the chakra of knowledge, of wisdom, and of occult power. When you focus on your third eye, you will develop the power to see the past, past lives, the power to be very telepathic, and sometimes even to have precognition, to know about future events. Then, of course, there's the crown chakra. The crown chakra is the chakra of enlightenment, of spiritual illumination. And when you focus on that, you won't so much go into a dimension, but you'll enter a realm of stillness and brightness. You'll go into what we call the white light, the light out of which everything comes. So to develop your psychic powers, what's really necessary is just 5 minutes to 15 minutes once or twice a day. That's not much time, is it? And if you just sit down, either like I'm sitting in a cross-legged position or in a chair, but do sit with your back straight. If you lie down, you're going to probably just fall asleep. And pick a chakra to focus on. Put your finger in that spot to start with the first few times you do it. It'll be easier. And focus on that spot with all of your concentrative power. When your mind wanders and you suddenly forget that you're supposed to be focusing, try visualizing. You can visualize an image. Visualize a bright light, any color you like or no color at all, a bright light on top of the chakra around that area of your body. That helps some people. So if I close my eyes and I'm focusing on what we call the root chakra, one of the power chakras at the base of the spine, if I imagine a bright light there, sometimes it makes it easier for me. And as I focus on it, pretty soon I feel a tingling sensation. That means energy is being released, and my etheric body, my astral body, is starting to go in that dimension. Then after a while, you may start to see pictures in your mind of different dimensions. You may start to have feelings, awarenesses. One of the most exciting things about traveling into the interdimensional planes is that you gain knowledge and power, and you don't even know that that's happening. When you're sitting, focusing on a chakra, moving through different interdimensional realms, at the same time you're accumulating energy, and some other part of you, the older part that I talked about before, the second attention, is learning from these experiences. When you finish your journey, maybe even hours later, suddenly you'll know something. You'll be able to sense something. You'll have a feeling. You'll have a power that you never had before. Now, of course, when we get into a discussion of power, we have to stop for a second and we have to consider what power is and how it can be used and how it can be abused. Power, in its ultimate sense, is neither good or bad. And that's why I think it's very, very important to have an ethical structure for your psychic perceptions and psychic development. What do I mean by ethics? Ethics means that you don't hurt yourself and you don't hurt others. That's really all it means. So, for example, fire is not good or bad. We can burn ourselves with it if we don't know too much about it. We can cook things with it. We can enjoy it in the fireplace, or it can be very destructive. So as you focus on your chakras and you go in and out of different dimensions, you're going to develop a lot of power and powers. You'll be able to see things other people don't see, know things other people don't know. But the purpose of all psychic development is self-enhancement. It's to give you knowledge, happiness, and a skill set that will give you a better life today and tomorrow. So what's most important in psychic development is to always be very careful of how you use your psychic power. Because when you don't use it correctly, it's not really a moral issue, at least not for me. When you don't use it correctly, if you use it to hurt somebody or injure somebody, if you let your emotions get out of control, which can happen, and you've developed that psychic power, you can really hurt a person. So it's very important that we have a sense, like when we drive a car. When we drive a car, we are going from one place to another. But we are very careful never to injure anybody, let alone ourselves. Well, that's all they have to do is have that sense. You just want to go on a wonderful journey, you want to gain something from it, but we don't want to injure anyone else, and we don't want to injure ourselves. So that's what ethics means. Ethics means having a wonderful time, having a wonderful journey. And I know there are people who talk about witchcraft and the abuses of psychic power. I don't even like to think about those things. That's thinking very, very negatively, in my opinion. Whatever you focus on, you become. If you dwell on those things, I mean, I give lectures on this and have for 25 years about psychic skills and how to develop psychic power and abilities. And very often I'm giving a lecture, and someone will raise their hand and say, oh, well, I'm very psychic, and these people are always bothering me. And I say, you know, someone can't really bother you unless you let them. If you don't think about a person, they don't have any power over you. But if you let a person intimidate you, then they get a grip on your consciousness. It's the same as physical violence. If there's someone who scares you, if there's someone who intimidates you physically, then just thinking about them can be an upsetting thing. But if you learn to overcome that fear, then no one can bother you. If someone bothers you physically, you go take a martial arts course, you become strong, no one will bother you. So in the same sense, with psychic development, as you develop your psychic powers and abilities by focusing on the chakras and by following the much more detailed information that's contained in the 2 cassette tapes that accompany this video, where I really get down to the nitty-gritty of different aspects of psychic development, which I can't do in a brief video, you will find that this power will allow you to do many things. But most importantly, as you become more powerful psychically, you will find that your aura becomes very strong. And you just don't have to be concerned about people. In other words, I think all this nonsense that I hear at New Age conferences and metaphysical forums about, oh, so-and-so hurt me with their power or their aura, I think that's a very negative way to look at life. I don't think about that stuff. Because if you have a lot of psychic energy flowing through you, no one can affect you. You may feel them, but they can't affect you. That's why developing your psychic power is such a wonderful thing. When you develop your psychic power and your psychic abilities, it's like increasing the strength of your immune system. You don't have to be concerned about anything. If you have a strong immune system, bacteria is repelled. In the same sense, your aura is your psychic immune system. Every time you focus on your chakras and bring energy and light and power from bright celestial dimensions into your aura, it makes you stronger. Now, when your aura is very strong, no one can interfere with you. No matter how much they focus on you, no matter how much they think about you in a nasty way, it just is repelled in the same way that bacteria is repelled by your immune system. So the last thing you ever want to do is be concerned about sorcery or someone interfering with you psychically. All you have to do is just do the right thing, and you're automatically protected. But if you dwell on a person, no matter who it is, and you think about them, and you constantly have them in your mind, you touch them psychically. So that's why it's very, very important, particularly if you have someone who's feeling very negative about you and just at this time putting out a lot of negative energy towards you, not to think about them. Don't dwell on them because you absorb that negative energy. Instead, always be positive. Always focus on bright, happy things. Naturally, the power from doing that will just go all through your aura and make you very strong and very happy. To be psychic is to be sensitive. And if you want to develop your psychic powers further, you need to become sensitive to all of life. All of life vibrates. Everything is alive. It shimmers with energy. Again, you're not going to see that with your physical senses or your thinking mind. You're going to feel it gradually. Gradually, you're going to become more aware. Because when you focus on your chakras, as I said, just once or twice a day for 5 to 15 minutes, it doesn't seem like much. but over a period of time, even after just a month, you will start to feel energies, psychic dimensions, planes of power. You will become much more aware in a very beautiful way, not just when you're sitting focusing on your chakras, but all of the time. You will find opportunities in life and wonderful moments that other people are completely unaware of. Sunset is a very interesting time. At the time of sunset, and sunrise too, but particularly sunset, there's a doorway that opens to other worlds and other dimensions. Try, if you can, sometime at sunset, sitting and focusing on your chakras. Anyone will do. And you will find that it's easy to go beyond the body. Many people also find that very early in the morning or late at night is a good time for psychic perception, particularly when you want to perceive other planes and other dimensions, because people are asleep. And when people are asleep, they retract their auras. So really, from about midnight till 5 in the morning is the best time for psychic perception, or it's the best time for getting a good night's sleep, depending upon what you need, because all the millions of auras in the people in your area are retracted. They're pulled back in because they're dreaming. And when people dream, they go into the dream planes. Well, dreaming is an entirely different topic, and we'll talk about that another time. Psychic powers are amazing because you can affect people and affect your environment and affect your world in a very positive way. When you have power, you can cause things to happen. You can make wonderful things happen. If you don't have power, you're a victim, and there's not much you can do in life. So as you develop your psychic powers, as you make them stronger, and again, as I said, I get into the nitty-gritty of this on the cassette tapes more, because this is a vast topic and I can't cover it all right now, you will find that you can begin to affect people and places. What do I mean by affect things? I mean, you can have a very positive effect on the people around you and on our entire planet. Because remember, you're like a radio transmitter. You are constantly sending out energy and other people are receiving it. And when you send out positive energy, when you send out strong, powerful impressions, you'll find that they will have a reaction. Doorways will open for you. You'll get a job you wouldn't get. You'll find a wonderful place to live that you would have missed. You'll just find that opportunities will open up for you because positive energy attracts opportunity. Negative energy, on the other hand, doesn't attract much at all except negative energy. So always be positive. Focus on your chakras. When this video is complete, try it. Sit for a few minutes, close your eyes, and place your finger on one of your chakras, and just relax. Let go. Feel that area. Visualize a little spot of light there, and let go. Thoughts will come and go. Don't be concerned about it. Just ignore them. Just relax and keep feeling that area. Pretty soon, you'll find that you'll start to feel new sensations, new awarenesses. This is psychic perception. After a while, with practice, you'll be able to go into those sensations and through the interdimensional planes of light and beauty and awareness. Again, as I said before, if you hit a plane that's not a good one, that is to say not proper for you, you'll know right away. Don't be concerned. Suddenly you'll just feel, ooh, this feels weird, this is uncomfortable. Just always trust those gut feelings. And in your psychic travels, you'll never have a problem. So I would encourage you to develop your psychic senses, not just when you're sitting focusing, but as you go through the day. Start to see how much you can feel when you go to work. Feel the people around you. Feel your world. Feel the environment. And you'll find that that's practice in developing your psychic powers too. Anytime you extend your awareness, you're extending your aura. Try feeling more than thinking. That's what it really means to be psychic. To develop your psychic abilities fully, you must become sensitive to all of life. Life is a web, a matrix of thousands and millions of energies. As you practice focusing on your chakras, you'll find that you'll get better at it. And soon you'll develop many, many different senses, ways of knowing and seeing things that you don't have now. You'll be able to find opportunities that you would have otherwise missed, to avoid dangers, understand others better, understand yourself better, and the riddles of life. To truly be psychic means to be aware. It means to feel out with the energy of your life and simply to sense what's there. Also, to travel to different dimensions of brightness and light and joy and ecstasy. More detailed information is in the cassettes. I just wanted to introduce you to the world of psychic perception and suggest that there's a wonderful journey ahead of you that goes on really forever, because there's no end to light, there's no end to brightness, and there's no end to ecstasy. Remember, what you focus on, you become. So always focus on that which is the highest and the brightest and the most beautiful thing, the light of the psychic universe.